are receiving sitting allowances.
Yeah.
There are so many projects and whatever. There is this thing, but maybe, as you say, added to the financial instructions, there must be a way that there must be a policy guiding how these things are being done.
I have 3 problems here. These are government officials giving an honorarium. When the honorarium comes, the disbursing agency or office should be part of the government. So if I were in the OIC and these funds come, like I said, I would write a letter to the Secretary General, copied to the Accountant General and Minister of Finance, asking them for guidance and instructions.
How this...
Not how to pay. Because government have plethoras of accounts that they could have put these funds in and disbursed to these particular officers. So an independent agency should not have paid it out. It should have been paid to, because these are public servants. So whatever public servants are getting, it should be in conformity with the GO and FI.
Is this not an
Unless the monies were paid directly. Let's say OIC in Jeddah writes a check to Mr. X, Mrs. Y. That's none of my business. But my issue is they gave it to the staff of the government of the Gambia. Therefore, the government of the Gambia must have played a role in disbursing this fund.
Is this not an opportunity for government to begin to look at and regularize how honorarium,
this government should not. No, I'm sorry to say, this government should not look at anything.
But should it not have been part of civil service reform?
Forget. Let's be realistic. This government had almost. They've been given 60 months. We have passed almost 48 months to put a reset and put this country on the path to a better country. They have woefully failed on doing that because it's not their interest.
Yes.
For 4 years, if the government couldn't do security sector reform, civil service reform, reparations and other things that affected people for 22 years, let them not try to do anything against.
No, but let's just say government in general, not necessarily this government.
Well,
but any government,
but we have
any
to be specific.
Let's say any government
we have to be specific. We are living in a time frame that has been given to a certain administration.
Let's say any government coming in now.
No. Any government coming in.
How do you regularize this so that it is not abused? Let me give you an instance. I know some private entities, whether it's civil society or some private enterprises, what they will do, if you use your office hours, your office time to do any consultancy that is not your in your job description, you are mandated to pay a percentage to the office.
Naturally.
So government, you have people receiving allowances, you have people receiving honorarium. Is it not high time that government has a policy that if you are using government hours to do ABC, or you are in government service, a percentage goes back to the government?
But I agree. I'm agreeing with you wholeheartedly, and that's why I am stating that when these funds arrive in the country and hit the local secretariat's account,
they should have
just simply written a letter to the Secretary General, copied to Finance and Accountant General. Then Accountant Finance will advise the Secretary General where to lodge the money. Then they will look at what the FI and the GO states, and these people will be compensated adequately per our regulations, rules, and laws.
Now, looking at this from also the other perspective, people claim that government workers are poorly paid. Now, and we know that our economy possibly cannot handle remunerating public officials to a point where you can retain them. So all these allowances and honorarium and per diems are what our public officials hold on to, or is possibly part of the reason why they are still in public service.
Well, look, I think it's high time we Gambians, we look at the public service and see it this very way we look at private sector. A sacrifice doesn't mean it has to be detrimental to your livelihood. No one wants to work and be poor. So government, if you want to retain good lawyers, you need to adequately remunerate them so that they won't be enticed to go private. If you want to retain good accountants, you need to adequately remunerate them so that they will not go. The reason why the best and the brightest of Gambians are not in the public sector is because of the way the public sector is. And our president and his administration have woefully failed, because the most important thing in running a country is the civil service. Since he came to power, there is nothing substantial that has been done to reorganize the civil service. And what he didn't do in 4 years, he's not going to do in 8 months. So let's forget about it. But in as much as we want to forget about it, let's say one thing. Gambia right now, we need to take a holistic look and say that Barrow put our transition on freeze. He froze it. Nothing good has happened other than us having unfettered access to our freedoms without arrest and fear of being arrested. That's the only thing good that has came out of us going out to vote. I haven't seen any meaningful transition. Economic gangsters are still in positions where they should not be. Security gangsters and criminals are still holding our weapons, wearing our uniforms. We have people in the diplomatic arena who should not be there because of what they've represented. We have ministers who should not be where they are because of what they represented to the people of the Gambia. But guess what? That in itself has failed the Gambian for what we aspired and dreamed for. And that's why I'm saying that this election is about regaining the dignity and the pride of the Gambian. What does that mean? It means we need to come with a checklist. You don't have to be in for Barrow or against Barrow. You have to be in for the Gambia. And in for the Gambia means, on the economic front, are the Gambian or the Gambian better off now than before? Have we taken out more loans now than before? The loans we have taken, have they been put into good use or not? Our procurement processes, have there been violations? Yes or no? The reason why we booted Njie, constitution, did we have one? Yes or no? And if this checklist is not satisfactorily addressed, it means it's not about President Barrow, it's about performance. And for me, that's what I tell people. I have nothing against President Barrow, the individual. But I have everything against him for what he represents, because he has railroaded my aspirations of a better Gambia, and that's what Gambians need to look at and see.
I feel your point that this is the checklist that you should get. Now, if you are saying that a particular regime has not performed on this, the Gambians, what is the question in Gambians' minds is, how sure are we that all these other potential candidates are going to do better? So that is a question that
it should not be a question.
Why?
Because you need to understand one thing. In life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
Okay.
If our political class understands that if they don't perform, we're going to kick them out, and kick them out woefully, and go after them for their transgression against the public good and the public wealth, they will behave. They are not behaving because they know they have get out of jail cards free because of who we are as Gambians. So what needs to change here is very simple. Let's vote people in office and vote them out based on a checklist. The checklist is, we have key performing indicators, KPIs, benchmarks. You meet them, fine. You don't, fine. Alternatively, let us agree, since we're yet to have a constitution, that our next constitution is going to give Gambians one term and you go. No, honestly.
Well,
the nature of the African, not only the Gambian, the nature of the African and power. It's so troubling that we need to have breaks that will curb the appetite of the African, particularly the Gambian, to cling on to power.
And this brings me to the point you said earlier, unless and until Gambians take their eyes off what others are getting. I think this goes back to the root of the conscience of the Gambian. You are angry with somebody because they have something. You are angry with somebody because they are living a particular way. And you are not looking at why maybe you have not been able to achieve that. And it also goes to the point where we begin to celebrate the people that have done worse than anything to us because maybe of affluence or because of their financial status. So we have lost this conscience as a nation, where we are able to hold people accountable, tell people the truth without fear and without faith.
You see, the biggest problem that the Gambian has is a poor, inequitable social contract. There is a lot of undue anger and hate to certain segments of society. And growing up, you remember the group called Terror 18 when we were kids. St. Augustine's. My favorite brother, Makumba Sane. Yen wa fajara ngen, domi bourgeois ngen. And you know what? People will beat you. People will hurt. You remember that group, Terror 18? To the point you cannot even go. And it has gotten worse. And that's not good for a country. A country needs three things. One, a foundation of rule of law, a good and equitable social contract that gives people access to economic opportunities, education opportunities, and social upward mobility. If you have this, you will have a society that wants to work hard to climb and get somewhere. If you have a society that is not based on merit, but based on let's say what we see in our country, who you know, you're going to get a lot of angry people, but this anger is unfounded. And Yaya Jammeh is case in point. Yaya Jammeh didn't come to power because he wanted to fix Gambia. He wanted to settle scores. But he was settling scores with the wrong people most of the time. Some people work hard for what they have earned. Some, not all. But he wanted to punish people because he thought they lived a certain life that he didn't have and others didn't have. And since then, the us and them mentality, you cannot build a country when we don't have a society that thinks as an entity. Gambia, I always tell people, peace is just not the absence of war. Peace is the prevalence of equity, and mostly social equity. But in this country of ours, it is still us and them, be it tribe, be it economic, be it other social barometers, and that is bad, and we cannot build a country based on that.
You know, my dad used to tell us when we were kids that if you don't work hard, at the end of the day, and use this word of phrase, dinga mere kula de fudara.
Wow.
Because you had the opportunity, you have not utilized the opportunity, and then you grow to a point where all your colleagues and your friends are doing well. You are angry with them, but definitely, you know. And the second thing, the point you've brought, you know, I studied in Sierra Leone, and when I heard about the war, when it came into Freetown, one of the things, or one of the reasons why the war and the atrocities were so severe, it was just of this lack of equity, social equity, where people that felt that these people were the better off. We were always camping out of their homes. They would drive out of their cars. These ladies were always dressed immaculately. We cannot we cannot date them because they look down on us. And people were angry, and most of the people that did some of most of the atrocities were not actually the rebels, but were these guys that were in the society, in the city, but felt deprived, and they took their anger out of the people they felt were responsible for their poverty or their social
You know, the reason why I'm saying this is Gambian social media. You see, if you want a test case of how divided this country, and the division is not only tribal, it's socio-economic. Perceived in the sense that you ask an individual, why do you hate Njie? He will never tell you that Njie did X or Y to me. He will not even tell you that I've never encountered him. I've met him in person. But I hate him because I don't like what I think he represents. That is scary for a country. You cannot build a country that is not at peace with itself. And Gambia is not a homogeneous entity in terms of nationality. Because we are so divided into clusters of groups that is not good for the existence of this country. Therefore, a poor social contract is an existential threat to the well-being of our society. And that's what government need to fix.
Yeah.
And fixing that starts with giving the rural kid opportunities,
Yeah.
giving the rural kid employment opportunity, giving the rural kid access that kids have here. If not, we will create an imbalance, and this imbalance is what's going to eat us as a nation.
Added to that, can we also look at the issues of celebrating hard work?
You cannot celebrate hard work if merit is not the basis.
Well, that is what will have to be the basis. You will have to have
that will
you
be
will
next.
have to.
What you do first, you set up a meritorious society,
Yeah.
where you have to earn what you have.
Exactly.
Once you have that, the next step is you celebrate people who want to sweat and toil. Then people will have references. But in our country, this Gambia of ours, is sad.
And that adds to the frustration, because it's like almost like the haves and have-nots, and the haves, whether you are eligible, you qualify for the position because of your influence or whatever. You are given this thing depending on who you are connected.
Well, not who you are connected. There are people with connections that don't want to take.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so it's
but
not
there are some that also
no. It's not about connection.
There are some that leverage on their connections.
For me, it's about two things: values and orientation.
Okay.
Anyone with pride, you want what you have in life to be earned. If you have pride,
I agree.
If you have pride, you want to earn what you have.
Yep.
Yeah. So therefore, what we need is a society that rewards
hard work.
And the only way you can reward hard work is to allow people to go through the right channels in terms of getting what they want. You have to work for it. Look at people today. You know a lot of people in the system. Today, they have no place where they are because of their competence. They don't have it.
Yeah.
But guess what? They know how to play good office politics, and they know how to bootlick. And this is what is eating the social fabric of the society. If you have imams who are willing to put scriptures aside and please people just to make sure they receive and earn, it's scary. Likewise, if you have an educated person, there is nothing that's more dangerous than an educated person who refuse to use intellect for the betterment of society, but want to use intellect as a weapon. And why am I saying it's a weapon? You know right and wrong, and you decide to do wrong. You have weaponized your knowledge, and that is bad.
And I think that is what we are seeing from the TRRC, where the law has been used as a weapon to keep people in bondage, keep people suppressed. If you're out there, you have a comment to make, you want to come live and join us.
They can join us. You can join on the show.
Join us.
Anyone who wants to go live,
you are most welcome to do so.
Just come and we'll bring you in.
Give us your thoughts, your take on the discussion for today. But until we have somebody, or you could send in your comment as you follow the program.
You know, Mr. Njie, if we want to change this country, we need to address the bitter truths.
Okay.
The bitter truths. You see, society, anywhere you go in the world, there is what you call first mover advantage. Go to Atlantic Road. Show me one Wolof that owns a property there. I'm not talking about having money and buying it, but being allocated a property there. Then none. Unless one gentleman called Mam Demba Sow, I heard he was an engineer. That's where Ngala Lodge is. Why was that so? The Akus had a first mover advantage. That's natural evolution. We need to accept it. Come to Fajara, Old Fajara, and the Old Cape. Who had properties there more than anybody else? The Akus. And they were minorities, but they were first movers. You see, nitki danko am loko ora nangul. All of us didn't have the same starting point. That doesn't make it right that I should continue to benefit at your expense. But I should not be angry that the Akus had properties at Atlantic Road, when my grandfather didn't have one there. That defeats the purpose. The purpose is everyone has to start somewhere. But here there is a lot of undue anger. to the point they cannot hide it. I've seen people, a good friend of mine, Lamin Tamba, I love this guy to death, but he cannot stop saying, you PPP kids. My dad never voted for PPP. My father was not PPP. But you know what? He associates people. That's his perception. And this is what's killing our country. If we want our country to move, we need to transcend that.
You said something quite interesting, that Lamin Tamba is your friend.
Very good friend.
But you know, the reason why I want to bring this, we are in the political season. I know you and Lamin Tamba hold different political views.
Yes.
Different day as day and night. But you are still able to see him as a Gambian brother. And you people, I keep seeing...
Lamin has said ugly things about me, but I swear to God,
but
I will never hold it against him. You know why? You know why? I understand his social orientation. And it's not his making or his fault. And if we do that, trust me, there are a lot of people on Facebook, I don't respond to them because I see their anger, but their anger is misdirected. You see, if you understand the Gambian political configuration, you will see that most people don't vote for people because those people are progressive or good for the greater good. They can identify by way of tribe. They can identify by way of economic interest. They can identify by way of maybe we live in the same area, but it's not whether that person is good or bad. And
possibly the possibility of maybe if the person wins, whether they would consider you.
But that's the economic interest. So that's rent seeking. So my point is, one thing that has failed the Gambian independence to date is to build a Gambian. Nationalism has never been part of us, and that's why we're suffering today. So we need to start building a Gambian. And how do we build a Gambian? Is to create core national ideals. What is a Gambian? What does a Gambian espouse? What does a Gambian represent? Then we can kill the tribe. And in killing the tribe, I hope we will then have a country with social contract. So your opportunities to upward mobility will not be hindered by others, but you will have laws protecting that any child born in this country, or being any child that's a Gambian citizen, deserves the right to go all the way to high school, Any child or any person looking for employment has the right to be heard, or What does that mean? It means we are all protected socially. And this social protection is what's going to give us equity. And this equity is going to take away the frustration and the undue anger to certain clusters of society.
And I think this is the disappointment of many Gambians, because this new constitution had such provisions to be able to force, as it were, the hand of government to ensure that there was this kind of protection, for social protection for the people. One of the things, we are coming, obviously, this is election year, and maybe because of time, we will not have time to talk much on this today. But we will need to look at how do we, as Gambians, in spite of our political differences, still live in harmony. Because elections is December 4th, 2021. After that, is it worth me being your enemy for life because you didn't vote or you didn't support my political party?
Because we need to change what election is. You see, people go to war and they have spoils of war.
Okay.
We have spoils of elections. And there are a lot of people who are very disenchanted that Njie is gone because the perks that they used to have are no longer. But any well-meaning Gambian will tell you, I said one thing at my office and my chairman wanted to record what I said. And I refused to utter it again, and I will say it today. I am a big critic of Yaya Jammeh. I'm a big critic of him. But to be honest, Barrow could have done better, provided he had the nation's interest at heart. What is the nation's interest? Understanding that 22 odd years we went through a hellish nightmare. His primary preoccupation was not to fix Banjul or give us bridges. was to make sure we have strong institutions manned by capable, competent Gambians to give each and every one of us an opportunity to upward mobility on a clean slate that is fair, and we all start at the same line.
If Barrow did that and was asking Gambians for a second term, do you think Gambians would have given him?
Well, then at least he had a value proposition to give us. But today, Adama Barrow, unfortunately, I'm sorry, he has zero value proposition. People who support him, and this is the sad thing, and not only him, and all or most other political parties, we need to shy away from blind loyalty. You don't support a political party because you affiliate, associate, or identify with. Because if their policies are poor and electricity is going, my house, Njie, goes off, you are living next door, an ardent supporter of Adama Barrow, your power still goes off.
Of course.
You get on that bumpy hospital thing, what I suffer from is what you will suffer from. So ultimately, we are all in the same boat. What Gambians need to look at, and this is where civil society must come. Civil society must have a 10-point checkpoint or checklist that this is not about Adama Barrow. This is about the holder of this office, who fortunately is Adama Barrow. We look at the economy 2016 to date, and we will dissect it from the debt, from the public procurement aspect of it, and priority expenditure. We give him the grade. We look at our education failing, we give him the grade. We look at our health, mortality, and others, we give him the grade. And now Gambians should vote him in or vote him out based on this checklist. And that is what you call, smart voting. And Gambians need to vote smart and vote wisely and stop this thing that we're doing.
We used to have what we call the community scorecard, where communities were to score government as to what they promised to do, what they plan to do as per what they have implemented. But I think this is a very important thing that I know, civil society in Gambia, I think is still evolving, obviously because of all that we've gone through in 22 years. And the 4 years has been a transition also for civil society, but it's one of the issues, one of the things that I feel
one thing I've
is
noticed,
very key.
I've noticed, politicians, including Adama Barrow, will continue to take us for a ride, so long as we're willing to be the servants and not the masters, and willing to be the comedian and not the audience that the comedian should play for. And lastly, I think this president, to be honest, I'm sorry to say, and that's why our frustration today, we should not go back to Luny Amjel. We need people with toolkits and skill sets to give us what we deserve. Toolkits and skill sets.
That's very important, because I think we failed ourselves in the fact that we were just looking at Jame must go, come what may, and it was like, okay, we don't care, give us anybody, give us anything. And then obviously we had the coalition, people expectations were high. But sometimes you also look at it and people will say, or some people will argue, that the problems of this country were so deep, or the hole was so deep, that maybe we are trying to cover the hole, and we've not covered the hole yet. That's why, I think even the current president has said that he needs 15 years to fix this mess. But
he doesn't need 15 years, because we have given him an opportunity to
show.
Kickstart, not show.
Okay.
Kickstart. Show is the end product.
Okay.
Kickstart. And the gentleman has shown us he lacks the wherewithal. He lacks the empathy. And he lacks the gravitas to understand what the Gambian needs. What the Gambian needs is not Banjul rehabilitation project where economic gangsters go and plunder us.
If the president wakes up from sleep, and
it's too late.
No. In the next few days, I want to do a total reshuffle. Get competent people that can move this, because and apologizes to Gambians that look, Yeah, I have realized I've missed it.
Anybody who beats their chest.
And not, I mean, not for political play. Even though if it does it now, that will be.
But you need to understand. Anybody who beats their chest cannot apologize.
Okay.
The gentle, meek, and mild Barrow I thought I knew died that night at Brikama when he said in Maninka, if you like it, I don't know whether you remember that. They were having a rally. Mayor, whatever, I cannot speak Mandinka well, but I understood exactly what he said. If you like it, that's it. If you don't, I'm here. Wow, so that's when I said to myself, oh, we all have been fooled. We thought our president was meek and mild. But this man is a Machiavellian, and he has fooled all of us, and we have. No, honestly, I think we need an honest conversation with self. 80% of the people who are with this president today are with him for their selfish personal gains.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. The other 20%, they may be uneducated, but guess what?
And they may mean well. Maybe.
No. Some people, you know, in every society you have people who are starstruck. You have people who follow the leader. They'll always follow the leader to their own doom.
Yeah.
So that will be the 15-20%. Let's accept that. But 80% of people running after Barrow and NPP today, I'm sorry, they are there for personal interest, but not the interest of this country. Look, don't vote DOI, don't vote UDP, don't vote APRC. Vote Citizen Alliance if you so choose to, but don't you vote for President Barrow for the simple fact that his interest and that of the nation collides. What do I mean by that? 12 times 4 is 48 months, right?
Yeah.
We've given him 48 months and now maybe about 52 months. What have we registered that is of significant importance to the Gambian? Nothing. And when Nyang speaks,
that is a bit debatable, because on his side you will always see is it the NPP online thing that or Barrow Youth Movement put in some of the achievements,
like
roads,
what? No.
For some of them it is significant.
No, we had a contract. Forget about the 3 and the 5 years. Okay. The contract was institutions to be strengthened. Economic gangsters and plunderers that took from the public good to be taken to the courts of law through commissions or whatever and be dealt with. Security men and women who plundered the public wealth to be dealt with. Did we have that? No. Meaningfully, did we have that?
No.
Also to empower the civil servant, to make sure that he or she cannot be fired and they will do the right thing as technicians for the interest of the greater good of society.
Okay.
These are the things that we expected him to do. Not Banjul, not bridges,
not electricity.
All those things are good, but Gambia was not in a permanent state. We were in a transition to start.
And I think the important thing is we just don't want to go back to where we are coming from, and the strengthening of these institutions would have helped to that effect.
My wish, Nyang, my wish, because every day I go to bed, and honestly I cry in my heart for what my country has become. A country that is not at peace with itself, because we see how we hate each other on social media, how we insult each other on social media. That's one. A country that is so indisciplined. People will see a police here and violate the traffic law and nothing happens. So I want to see a government of national unity post Barrow. What does that mean? Whoever wins, extend an olive branch to all, including APRC, for us to come to the table as children of this nation, to rebuild our country sincerely, to make sure that we end up creating a citizen that sees themselves as Gambians, so that we can start the rebuilding of our nation. If not, it is shameful, but we are not going to gift the next generation of Gambians a healthy nation. And
Well-
I'm not talking about debt. I'm talking about people-to-people relationship.
Yeah.
The anger is too much. The hatred is too much. And you cannot be a society. You cannot be a community. You cannot be a country if you are not at peace with yourself.
Well, Mr. Njie, I have to release you because I know if I keep you, you will keep talking. You are so passionate about the things of Gambia. But thank you once again for being available, and to all of you out there, thank you also for following, for your comments. Let them keep coming. Let's keep discussing and let's keep looking forward for better days in our country. Let's keep hope alive. It's not all over. It's not all